Alright, so music is a popular subject, right? Let's say you're at work discussing, I don't know, Lil Xan with your coworkers, and one of you compares his beats to the sound of someone sticking their dick in the garbage disposal and turning it on, while another of you equates his lyrical genius somewhere in between a toddler with a speech impediment trying to create new words and an undisclosed video titled fuckmyface.exe. All valid points, but now the coworker that struggles to make eye contact starts talking about how Pokemon Sword and Shield had the best soundtrack of any video game franchise in the last 30 years, before redirecting his line of sight to his feet and the floor below him before quickly shuffling back to his cubicle. This is the best way I can describe Harman Smith. He answers the question nobody asked about a console no one gives a fuck about. Or at least you shouldn't, if you're over the age of 12. Welcome to the fucking console wars. Alright, so for this we need a bit of backstory. What are the console wars? Well, it's a never-ending competition between companies like Microsoft and Sony over the gaming market. Its propaganda is peddled further by neckbeards who dedicated their time arguing over exclusivity, specs, portability, controller design, and of course, what games perform better than others. All of this, rather than just admit that they're upset their parents didn't buy them a PC for their birthday. But this has been around for decades now. I believe it started with Atari and Intellivision. The term console wars didn't really get started until the late 80s or early 90s with Nintendo and Sega. Someone made a whole fucking movie on it, and it's on Paramount, so you can watch it there. This should at least give you enough context to see where I'm going with Harman Smith. Though, not the real Harman Smith. But on second thought, I've never seen this motherfucker use his legs once, so it very well could be. Now, don't get me wrong, he hasn't done anything terrible that I know about, apart from comparing Legend of Zelda to Elden Ring. His entire channel seems to be dedicated to glazing Nintendo and literally every IP they've created or got their grubby little hands on. And hey, if that's your thing, then I say preach queen. But he also likes to make the most bizarre comparisons between Nintendo's games and the woke community, or delve into strange conspiracy theories that users on 4chan have more than likely warped his mind into believing. But we'll get into that later on in the video. And before I forget, if you are enjoying the video so far, don't forget to like, share, comment, and subscribe. It really helps me in the algorithm and my self-esteem, so you can let me know how I did in the comments below, as well as help me reach my goal of 50,000 subs in less than 40 days. Can we do it? Probably not, but I believe in you. Cody Inman is a lolcow more widely known as Harman Smith, taken from a Killer 7 character of the same name. His mediocre popularity on YouTube and Kiwi Farms comes from his attitude towards non-Nintendo related IPs receiving more praise and attention than anything Nintendo releases. His videos are dedicated to criticizing any and all games outside of the Nintendo realm, while simultaneously comparing and giving praise to various Nintendo games, most of which aren't even in the same league of the original game he's criticizing. This is where most people start to see where the cracks form. He seems to have more to say about a game he's putting down rather than the game he wants to prop up.
Hello everyone, this is Cody Lee of BlackCatBooks.org, author of Eye of the Dragon, Cruel and Beautiful, Rabbit Hole, Lore and Fred, and the upcoming Jaw of the Dragon. Game developers are wasting their time developing titles for Xbox Series X, PlayStation 5, and the PC. They should be focusing all their time and effort in maximizing their support for Nintendo Switch consoles.
This is a video he uploaded a little over a year ago that roughly covers everything I've heard him say over the plethora of content of his that I've had to watch, and in doing so yourself, you'll find that not a lot of videos stray very far from its bullet points. But there's something about this seething, gamer-fueled man-tittied copium overload in this that stands out, and his points seem so much more outlandish for some reason.
Every game should be coming out on the most successful gaming platform. This isn't like rocket science, this isn't all that complicated. All we're seeing now is a lot of bluster, a lot of nonsense, a lot of like weird claims from developers who are paid off by Sony in order to support other platforms, but not Nintendo, into not supporting Nintendo Switch. That's what we're seeing here.
So right out the gate, he drops his usual conspiracy theory. None of them are ever based in logic. Nor does he ever cite a source because they're all figments of his fucking imagination. He believes that Sony is paying game developers off to not support Nintendo, similar to how in 2001, Sony made a closed-door deal of over $13 million to make sure that Halo was only an Xbox exclusive, or even how Tsuyoshi Kadera begged Bethesda not to port Skyrim to the Switch before inevitably failing to do so. It's very clear that Sony was indeed trying to take down their only true competitor, the corporation pumping out pint-sized heroes at 30 FPS for autistic 8-year-olds who are fond of bright colors and despise intricate storylines.
But now it's becoming more and more obvious because the PlayStation 5 and Xbox Series X have absolutely nothing to offer to gamers whatsoever.
Honestly, another fantastic point and a W from a man Harmon, as even highly praised titles have been overshadowed by pretty much everything that Nintendo has put out for the last 40 years. A good example of this was when the beloved title Spider-Man lost Game of the Year to the clearly better crafted, more well-rounded, and story-driven title, Lego Fortnite.
You have games that really should be available on Switch. There is no justification for Resident Evil 4 Remake or Elden Ring or Returnal or any of these other multi-platform games to not be available on Nintendo Switch.
What the are you even talking about? Imagine trying to play Elden Ring on a fucking emulator. Who of you wants to fight millennia on their console shrieking in agony to produce 15 frames per second, or the latency issues running a game like that would produce? Imagine consistent crashes this game would have just for running it longer than 10 minutes at a time.
And that is the thing about this console generation. That is the thing about the PC, is that these platforms are indeed overpowered. They are overpriced. No developer can afford to properly support these consoles with develop games that can really max out their capabilities.
Harmon, you son of a bitch. I was on your side right up until this point. But if you're going to exclude the fantastic games that Microsoft and Sony have offered in the past decade, such as Farming Simulator, New York Simulator,
coming through. You're scaring me. I'm walking here.
God Simulator, Henry Cavill Simulator,
Please fuck me.
Walking Simulator, Bad Boy Records Simulator.
Where did you get that? Oh my!
Or even more accurate, Pokemon Simulator. Then we're just going to skip ahead.
PS5 and Xbox Series X should not be supported, okay? They shouldn't even be available for sale, honestly. I can tell you that I've had more fun playing Nintendo Switch Sports than I would have playing Elden Ring, right? It's more challenging, it's more complex, there's more to do in the game, there's more technical depth, there's more variety in the gameplay. Nintendo Switch Sports just dominates Elden Ring, and I feel like very few people will want to admit that because they want to continue deluding themselves into thinking that Elden Ring is somehow cutting edge or the best game on the market when really it's not even close.
I'm not even going to respond. I'm just going to let that one sink in.
Oh, you're going to own every single game company on the planet, and you have Xbox Game Pass, which is the most successful gaming streaming service in the world, which isn't true, by the way. Nintendo Switch Online is more popular.
So I just Googled the numbers, and although this shift took place over the last 2 years, it seems that Game Pass went from 25 million subscribers to 34 million, as where Nintendo Switch Online is also sitting at 34 million. So although the figures may have been different during his initial upload, it seems things have balanced themselves out, but let's assume they haven't, and he's entirely correct in saying so. We all understand why, right? It's like asking why Moist Critical doesn't have as many subscribers as Ryan's World. Children are the majority of the market, especially for someone like Nintendo. It's why the controllers are made for smaller hands and their exclusives are more vibrant and eye-catching. It's only you and the other 40,000 other grown men in their Superman pajama pants still waking up on Saturday mornings to find Blue's paw prints with Steve.
We'll get a good game on Xbox, maybe, if we keep supporting them. Why does anyone care? Why does anyone support any of these platforms? PlayStation and Xbox will never be relevant. They never were relevant. They could never compete with Nintendo consoles, and I'm kind of sick of pretending they ever could.
Alright, so that's essentially Harman Smith, and I think he does a fantastic job summing up 90% of his content. The other 10% is actually dedicated to a more worthwhile trait of his and a better use of his time, which is amateur storytelling. As he states in his channel description, he's since erased that he's an indie novelist who wants to learn more about writing and in turn publish his first book. Well, he has published his first book, and it seems he's published a fair few of them. But from the samples alone, they're okay for someone just starting out. I certainly wouldn't have published them, but they aren't really worth getting on either. Essentially, pick your favorite over-sexualized female cliche, i.e. the big-titted brooding goth girl, the soft-spoken submissive good girl, the strong independent female lead, and then find the only non-two-dimensional male, and that's Cody's insert for himself. Up to this point, Harmon has been a punching bag for the online community to pick on for his unhinged conspiracy theories to back the only reality his narrow mind can conjure. Nintendo good, everything else bad. Going after the woke community, YouTubers, and game journalists for why and how Sony is trying to push Nintendo out of its obviously deserved spotlight. Now, I'll be the first to admit that game developers will shill for the progressive community way before they'll ever throw a bone to Mario and Luigi Brotherhood. But unfortunately, until Zelda grows a dick, you might be shit out of luck. But why the f does the gaming community as a whole need to accept Nintendo as the superior console when they've got you, Harmon? Do you not matter enough to the Nintendo empire that suddenly we all have to bend the knee so that we can get another Pocket Monsters game where we capture and enslave tiny animals to fight each other but don't even have the balls to call it what it is? Fuck that, I'll stick to Power World. And last but not least, why do you keep calling it Baldur's Gate?
A re-release of a decade-old game outsold Baldur's Gate.
What the fuck is Baldur's Gate? What is Baldur's Gate? Did you mean autism? Yeah, you know what? I think I might have. Hey, real quick, I don't want to send any hate Harmon's way. As I stated before, I don't think he's done anything particularly evil. He just has a warped perspective on gaming and consoles, probably not helped by trolls on 4chan. From what I can tell, he doesn't seem to care too much about criticism, and he appears to be rather a good sport when it comes to people giving him shit online. If anything, his videos are just kind of silly to watch, and if nothing more than just for the lulz, you might be interested in checking it out. I'll leave a link in the description anyways. I want to give a massive shout out to eDove on Kiwi Farms, because without their extensive dive into the mind of Cody, I really don't think this would have been possible, as most creators I've found have treated Harmon as though he's a subject we're all familiar with, and unfortunately I was not. And considering he's got nearly 4,000 videos, starting from the beginning may have been a challenge. I want to give a big shout out to my patrons, Jessica, Pulped Milk, George, Jesse, Guardian of Dead Wolves, and Loading Please Wait. Thank you so much to my editor and artist. Without them, these videos would be shit and unwatchable. Remember, you can join my Patreon for as little as $1 to help me out, and I offer early uncensored access. You can also join my Discord for free to say hi or even just hang out. All the links will be in the description. Don't forget to check out my merch, drop a like, share, comment, and subscribe. But until next time, be well.